30. We do the pledge of allegiance. Representative Albert, could you lead us, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do the attendance roll, please.
Mr. Chair. Representative Aldrich.
Present.
Representative.
Present.
Representative Bogert is not here. Hopefully
guess
he'll
he's-
be on Zoom.
Arrangements, I guess, so.
Representative Forts.
Yeah.
Representative Coker.
He's here somewhere.
He's here. He might have run. All right, I'll come back to him. Representative Compo.
Here.
Representative Dume.
Yes.
Representative Freeman. Present. Clerk is here. Representative Lundy.
Here.
Representative Minor.
Here.
Representative Nagel.
Here.
Representative Clojet. Here. Representative Terry.
Present.
Representative Toner. Representative Trottier. And Representative Barney is not here. I will make a note about Representative Coker later.
Chance you're gonna call notes on me.
Oh, I marked you.
What do you want me to go
Weird, okay, sorry, I'm
Whatever
sorry.
you decide.
Representative St. Clair.
Come on, Charlie.
Charlie, you're so thin, you're invisible.
Okay,
know.
yeah, Representative Loget
Where's
is
Coker?
here.
He's here, he's not here.
Sodas are there.
And sodas are here, so he must be here. All right,
Tom is here now.
we will mark him. I got Representative Loget on the record.
And we have a forum.
We have
Yeah, we got a forum.
over Toner, Trottier, and Barney.
Okay.
We keeping you up?
Okay, listen. Listen. We're gonna have to go. Don't speak until you're called on. I'm not trying to be a dictator or anything, but if we're gonna get through this at all, we can't have people over talking over each other, whatever. So please only speak when recognized. Is that okay with everybody?
Please.
Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In looking at the agenda, I think it's a little bit out of order because we have other business before the approval of the agenda. And I really believe other business should come under approval of delegation minutes and before public input. And I think, and then I'd like to speak to some other motions, but I think that is the most important thing that we should be looking at. Approval of the agenda, then the approval of the delegation minutes, and then other business is, I think, the way that it should be numbered.
Okay, so I know that there are other corrections that need to be made in this agenda. This was my first attempt. I did a lousy job.
But
So if you would tell me what the other changes that ought to be made, you've spoken to me obviously about these other changes.
okay, so once we renumber and put other business after the approval of delegation minutes, I would like to take number 9, which is discuss and vote on laws of the 1963, chapter 466. And I'd like to take out the word vote because we're not going to, there is really nothing to vote on. It was just a discussion, something that we brought up at our last meeting. And so I'd like to bring that up.
But where?
Put that under approval of delegation minutes and put that there.
Would make it number 6.
Under other business, I have 3 items under other business, if you don't mind, if you'll indulge me. So there's that. The other thing I'd like to do is the sheriff has a request for the adjustment of fees, and I'd like to be able to have this delegation to discuss it and possibly vote on that, if we could.
Where do you want to put that?
That would be, we can do that right after the discussion on the laws of 1963. And then the other thing I'd like to discuss is 4-H. And the county fair.
Okay, so. Tell me what numbers you want where.
Okay, let's do
All the orders done.
number 9 and take out the word vote.
Yep.
Like A under other business, B would be the sheriff, and then C would be 4-H and the county fair.
Representative
For
Terry.
those interested in numbering here, I believe what Representative Conqua suggested that other business actually be 3 items under the delegation minutes, which is currently number 6 on the pre-printed proposed agenda. Therefore, it'll be 6A, 6B, and 6C, and then we go on from there.
And we'll eliminate,
Number the items on the agenda. Just go
okay,
down through the way it is, put
So-
the correct number.
okay, so we just took attendance roll call, so number 4 would be approval of agenda.
Okay,
Number 5 would be approval of delegation minutes.
Yep.
I guess number 6 would be, I guess we'll put number 6 as discuss the laws of 1963, chapter 466.
Yep.
And then I guess 7A, which is other business, 7A would be the sheriff's request. And to discuss and possibly vote on that. And then 7B under that for other businesses, 4-H and the county fair. And then everything else can,
so
Go
leave public input after 6. That'll be
Number 8.
public input would be 8.
8.
Okay, that's number 8.
And then discuss and vote on community power would be number 9. And then the
That's fund
Just-
transfer.
fund transfer would be 10 and 11 would be adjournment.
So move, oh,
Wait, is that a motion?
It is a motion.
second, second, if I'm recognized,
You're recognized, sorry.
second.
Get my numbers straight.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
got
hey,
the
hey.
hand.
Representative Oliver, please. So we have first, we have second, we have any further discussion on this?
Yes,
Representative St. Clair.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Do we really want to move public input down after all this stuff?
Not after all this stuff, just after one thing.
After what?
Is that correct?
It was like,
Representative Conqua.
So public input would be after we discuss and vote on the sheriff's thing and then 4-H and the county fair.
So you want the input afterwards? I had somebody ask me that back there.
Yes, I think it's important that they can hear our discussion and then they can comment on our discussion, but that's just what I'm thinking.
Representative Freeman.
The only difference, Representatives, St. Clair, is that we just renumbered them, that's all. The only thing we moved was other business, we moved it from one area to the other. Public input is still going to happen after all of the other things, so we only moved other business after the approval agenda and the delegation minutes. Public input is still virtually in the same space.
You know, I
Still
think
in
that
the same space.
Representative, I think that we should have just put this 1963, chapter 446. We should have put that before the public input.
It is,
Wait.
It is,
it's number 6.
number 6.
Now-
Yeah, but I don't want the other things after. I want the input from them before the rest of it. Just that 446 thing is going to eliminate why most of you people are here. And that's why that's why we're trying to move this stuff around. It's going to save a lot of talking, a lot of time and a lot of aggravation.
I understand that, but I think when they understand why this was actually on the agenda, I think it's a pretty simple explanation on why that section was put on the agenda. But also, I think it's important for people that want to discuss 4-H and the county fair to have a public input after we have a discussion too. So I understand what you're saying. I'm just kind of mixed.
Yes, yes.
Chair.
Yes.
I just want to ask Mark, But you're talking about public input, and you're talking about first, we're gonna decide something, we're gonna vote or something. about that?
No,
There's no vote.
it's a discussion. I want to have a discussion.
I'm asking the woman that brought it up, if I can just get that clarified. Thank you.
I just want to have a discussion about some emails that came through and some discussions I've had with people. And I think it's important that we understand what's going on. Because the public,
I just wanna make clear about.
okay, just so you want.
Okay, everybody all set on this? So, do we, you want to call the roll? We don't have anybody on Zoom.
We're gonna take a vote.
We'll give some-
Raise your hands.
Oh, we don't.
You don't have to do a roll.
Okay.
Vote in.
All in favor of the agenda as
Changed.
changed by Representative Comtois? Looks like it's unanimous.
Okay.
Approval of the delegation minutes from 3/12. Yes,
I move that the delegation, meeting of March 12th, be approved. Recommendation for an excellent job.
wait a second. Representative Albert,
Thanks.
any discussion? All in favor? Raise your hand, please. Opposed? Thank you. Okay, now, the Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the last meeting, I was concerned about chapter 446:1 and 446:2 called tax assessment. And I'm gonna read it because it's just really, really simple. It says the Belknap County recreational area in the town of Guilford shall be exempt from taxation. But in the year 1963 and each succeeding year thereafter, the county of Belknap shall pay to the town of Guilford with respect to said area and in lieu of taxes thereon, an amount equal to the taxes assessed on said area by said town for the year 1962. This act shall take effect upon its passage, and the amount was roughly $6,586.65 per year. And the reason I brought it to the delegation is that in all my years sitting on this delegation, I have never seen a check written by the county or had it included in our budget as writing a check to the town of Guilford. And I was concerned about that because I found this, that we would, because it says the county of Belknap shall pay to the town of Guilford. And I was just concerned that we weren't doing our due diligence. And I know, Mr. Chair, that you have spoken to some other people, so maybe you can enlighten folks on that.
Okay, so I, in light of this coming up, I did some research too. I spoke with the town manager, the town administrator in Guilford. He said for 17 years, everything's been working very well. And he's been getting the money supposed to be getting. I spoke with Ms. Shackett. If you'd like to tell them your opinion of the procedure that's been happening for the last 25 years and if you're content with it or.
Yes, it's been working. The Gunstock area pays the town of Guilford directly for the taxes. It has not been paid by the county, it's paid by Gunstock.
Which is part of the county.
County owns those.
Representative Comtois.
Thank you. And Mr. Chair, would you mind if I ask Ms. Shackett a question?
No, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So my concern is that I'd never seen, because it says the county shall pay and not Gunstock shall pay.
I wish you had just asked.
Well, I brought it out. I just brought it out. I just put it out there and I kind of brought it before and have a discussion. That's
Can
it.
we hear from Commissioner Lambert? Would you, I believe you have a letter from Scott Dunn, Town Administrator, and you can probably speak for the commission, I would assume.
Yeah, so I do, it seems to be a discrepancy in that 6,586, because I reached out to CFO at Gunstock and I spoke with Scott Dunn, and they both said that Gunstock is paying $6,857 to the town of Guilford annually. So it's coming from Gunstock and not from the county.
That's,
So
I
it-
just needed, that's all.
So are you, all right with the way things are working? You're just not sending the check to her and then she has to send it to the town? So you're just skipping a step. That's all that's been happening.
Correct, and I further asked Mr. Dunn if there have been any discussion with selectmen and that, and he said that this topic has not come up. I guess everybody's happy.
Seems like it to me.
It was just a question.
Representative Terry.
So just to be clear for everybody here, including me. An amount somewhere in the vicinity of 65, 86, 65
Or 1,600.
it has been paid by Gunstock to the town of Guilford every year since 1962.
It's in lieu of tax.
63.
Yes, in lieu of tax, absolutely, in whatever it is, but in lieu of taxes, you are paying, ever since 1962, there has been an annual amount of 65, 86 or something close to that, that has been paid by Gunstock to the town of Guilford in lieu of taxes.
Correct, now I can't confirm that from 1963.
Born in
Actually, I wasn't close. But the people that are involved currently say that the check comes from Gunstock
every year.
to the town.
And that goes back 25 years away. I
And that
understand.
would be the same amount since 1960.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any further discussion on law of 63, chapter 446? Any further discussion? We'll end the discussion. That's why there was so much confusion with the agenda. Because I shouldn't have put the word Gunstock on that agenda. I should have put the mountain or something else. But
I love you too.
it obviously got a lot of traction. So I guess so we're done with that. We have the sheriff's Representative Francois.
Thank you. Well, the sheriff is asking for a small increase in the writ service of $1.14. And that will just be in lieu, and all other counties do the small increase in this fee. So I would like to make a motion that we authorize, and I'm not sure if it's authorize the sheriff's department to
Fee increase.
increase that fee for $1.14, bringing the new rate to $34.69.
Do we have a second?
I have a question.
Oh, well, we'll get a second first and then we'll discuss. Second, Representative Boris, you have a question, Representative Spring.
Oh, too far away.
Hey,
I do have a question. Sheriff Wright, is there any reason why you just didn't go up to $35 and kind of round it up?
Yes, actually, the law is very specific that we're supposed to go to the CPI.
Okay,
And that's what the second page that it was included was the CPI.
okay.
So all 10 county sheriffs, so we're all approaching our conventions and asking for the increase collectively, so.
And do you have a follow-up, Mr. Chair?
certainly.
Can we as a county authorize the sheriff to increase it to $35?
No, let's just.
Okay, I know what he said CPI, but I don't know if we have the ability to override that, so that's why I asked. Okay, thank you.
Representative Nagel.
Can you explain what a writ service is?
Sure, it's all our civil process that comes in from the courts. So we do a lot of LNTs, eviction type processes that we would, that we charge the person that's bringing the paperwork in. We charge those a fee according to statute. And we serve them and we collect the bill.
I ask a follow-up. What's an LMT?
That's a landlord and tenant writ, as well as other services as well. So anything that derives from the court.
It would probably affect me more than anybody in this room. Just saying. Or maybe you.
So the person getting the service is the one that's charged.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. It's the customer. It's not a tax-based process here.
Do we have any other questions for the sheriff or Representative Nagel?
And every county is asking for this or doing this?
Yes, right. At this point, right now, we're all at the same rate. And because this legislation had changed in 2023, it allows us to come before every year and make an adjustment according to the CPI. So we want to, you know, again, as inflation goes up, we want to be able to capture those costs as well. And again, you folks all have the ability to say yay or nay, as well as the other conventions across the state.
Thank you.
We're trying to stay on the same even plane when it comes to civil process. So all 10 sheriffs are coming before the conventions. A couple of them have already passed.
Any other questions? Seeing none? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Unanimous? Opposed? Thank you.
It's just for record, that'll come effective July 1st, and I'll make sure that that gets posted publicly. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. Okay, yeah, I promise you won't be talking about. Okay, the next thing on the agenda is the 4-H.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was really, after we had cut and voted on the budget and all the outside agencies got cut.
All
And-
one,
Uh-huh.
one did.
Oh, well, whichever agencies got their cuts, okay, of all the agencies that cut. There was an email that went out to 4-H, the 4-H people, and it was devastating. Absolutely devastating to the kids. I absolutely could not believe it. It said, one, that the Belknap County Fair would not happen this year. And that the 4-H group would not have anywhere to qualify. First off, UNH Extension does not have any jurisdiction over the county fair. That is a completely separate organization. And I had many people at my town meeting, you know, approach me about this. Because of, you know, we had kids crying, you know, and everything else. And then, you know, people were coming up to me, what did you do? We're not having the county fair. I'm like, what are you talking about? The fairgrounds and the county fair is separate than UNH Extension. So I think it's important to realize that reactions have really negative consequences and hurt children. So I wanted to bring that up. The other thing is that there is a 4-H foundation that pays most of the expenses for the ribbons and other things, items that are needed for 4-H at the county fair. We used to have I believe it was Karen Deegan, who used to be the 4-H specialist. And she was on top of things. I have gotten complaints from others that they feel like they've been left just hanging in the wind. There's been no contact. The fair is happening in August. It does not have a theme. And I'm just bringing this up so the delegation can understand what happened and what kind of reaction and what it did to children when we decided to cut the budget. And for me, I was just very disappointed. And I just wanted to bring that to folks to say that the fair is happening and that the 4-H's will be able to qualify and there will be judges at the county fair. And and the reason it's so important for them to qualify is because they can go to the Eastern Expo and things like that. So I just wanted to make sure everyone understood that is happening in case anyone else got the emails that I got and had to do some digging.
You must know the Honorable Fran Wendelbo.
I do, but I have not spoken to her.
But
Add, just to add on to what Representative Compton was saying, I have constituents who are very involved in 4-H. And they informed me that largely the 4-H fair is funded through the Burt Southwick Foundation funds. They're privately raised and funded, they set up the fair. They break down the fair, they do everything but send, I guess, sounds like emails, and I may not really directly involved. Although I will be volunteering for the fair coming up, and I guess a lot of people are also gonna volunteer. Looks like Representative Nagel just volunteered. Oh.
Well,
Okay.
I volunteered all of us.
Well, anyway, so I just wanted to point out that they were very upset that they were told the fair was canceled when in fact it's all kind of funded through private donations largely. So. I would say that.
Representative Nagel.
So I just want to make sure I understand it was a perception, not a reality.
Yes.
Well, it was an email that came with some authority.
To add to it though, it has been settled, the fair will happen. And I guess all the sort of details were worked out. There was a detail in there that the kids wouldn't be able to qualify with their ribbons and going up to the state, but apparently that's also not done. They'll be able to qualify like they always have. So it seems that everything is kind of worked out,
I
though.
think the reason I'm asking the question is for the future. I mean, they're not dependent on our county budget to make this thing happen, right?
Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe so, but there are folks here from the 4-H Foundation and the County Fair that can probably speak during public input and can answer some of these questions, I'm hoping.
Representative Coker. You had your hand up. He was next. So draw. Perfect. I think that Commissioner Waring was next.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention the same thing as Representative Comtois said. We have folks from UNH Cooperative Extension. I think it would be beneficial to hear them now while you're on the topic, because they could certainly, they're the experts in their area, and they can certainly answer the questions and put fact on the table.
We just had the facts on the table, I think.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, but I think the representatives and the director of that program would be able to speak best and factually about what their program actually does and where their funds come from, with all due respect, sir.
Mr. Speaker,
I
we have an
I
opportunity of
don't
public
think
input.
that they're gonna say where their funds go, but we're not concerned with where their funds go. We're concerned with who funds the fair.
Those are correct, and they can answer that question. I think we should allow them to answer the question.
Point of order, though.
That's what I was.
We have an agenda.
Representative Lojay.
Thank you, Chair. It was just a point of order. That would that be a public comment if we asked them? I'm assuming we're looking for that information.
We're not gonna do any voting now. They're gonna have public input here shortly.
Mr. Chairman, excuse
sir.
me, we have a factual document here that is a substantial variance to what Representative Comtois earlier stated. We do have representatives from the extension who I think can set the record straight here with the chair's permission, and I think it will be helpful to everyone here.
Clarification, this is an invitation.
Is parliamentarian, sir. Should this be in public input or should it be now? We're not voting on anything here.
If the delegation wishes to hear from members of the agency at this time, rather than during public input, it would take a majority vote of the delegation to do so.
So we have to vote on whether or not to hear from the organization now or during public input. Is somebody gonna make the motion?
I will take the motion.
So who wants to be second?
I'll second.
Okay, now we'll have a discussion.
Who made the motion?
Charlie or Dave, your choice.
Well, if we're gonna have that, then we should have the people that are here from the foundation and let the people from the foundation and the fair also speak that are on those boards.
All at the same time. I mean,
I'm just saying.
now as opposed to during the public input. Do you wanna make the motion, Dave Nagel, or do you wanna amend your motion so that we hear from both sides of the issue?
Yes. All amended.
Any other discussion?
I just feel like we have an agenda in order here. And I think deviating from the agenda is probably not the best idea at this point in time, considering the amount of public here.
Well, that's why we're gonna put it to a
Well,
vote.
there was discussion on it, but I want to put my input on it.
I appreciate that. Any other input?
I would just like to state for the record, Mr. Chair, that I think it's always important to get public feedback and public comment and public knowledge and expertise, but if we do not stick to this agenda, it's a moot point. It all becomes muddled into everything. And seeing as, we set the parameters around the meeting for a reason, is in order to keep some type of flow with it. I want to hear what everyone has to say about it. I want it to be done in an organized manner, and I don't feel that this is the way.
I'm gonna say that I agree with Representative Freeman. I think that all of that input's gonna be in about 5 minutes anyway. So that's how I'm gonna vote, to just get all the public input. We get those first.
If I could just add, if we are not gonna make an action plan on this, then I'm fine with what you're saying, but if we're going to make an action based on this, then we need to hear now. I won't disagree with you if we're not gonna make any decisions actually right now.
So you wanna withdraw your motion?
If we are not making any actions, I
You wanna make any? You wanna withdraw your second? How are you gonna have a second without a first?
I thought I made the motion. I didn't. I thought-
you really did, we were about to say.
I had Representative Nagel.
Okay.
Well, we said it at the same time, but in a millisecond.
I wouldn't, if I had the choice, I would not withdraw it. It doesn't matter. Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna continue with the agenda. And when we get to the public input, I hope that the people that wanted to speak on this issue get their hands up first, so we can hear from you first.
Mr. Chair, it is your discretion to call upon those people first, if you wish to.
If
do
I
so.
can, if
And
I get
would
their hand
suggest
up
that it
quick
would
enough,
be-
that's my
It
intent.
would be prudent to do so.
Yes, that's my intent. Yeah, we're not to that yet. We got this, community power, I believe, is next.
No.
Public input.
Public input is ready for the public input. Okay, so on this public input, have, people have a 2-minute limit. Somebody's gonna hold up a piece of paper or something here when you have 15 seconds left. This is usually customary. It's not anything. He's got over here.
No, I can do it.
So,
Mr. Chairman, I'm Patrick Wood from Laconia. I'm on the Laconia Housing Authority. We were at the County Commissioners meeting earlier this evening. The Housing Authority has received some funds from the state of New Hampshire over the past 18 months for congregate housing services. It's a program that was adopted by the state of New Hampshire beginning January 1 of 1990. Now, historically, some of the funds have come from Medicaid and other federal sources. The state has consistently not funded it, but they did 18 months ago. It works out to be about $400,000 a year for the city of Laconia. There are 2 cities in the state that receive these funds, Manchester and Laconia. And we receive the funds because we serve these low-income residents of ours and provide certain congregate services such as meals, assistance with housekeeping, personal assistance, transportation to doctor's appointments, administrative support, etc. So these are the things that help keep people in their homes. And that's what we're trying to do with this program and the choices for independent living. So these 2 programs, this one is a less intense program than the CFI program, but they're both critically important in allowing people to stay in their homes rather than having to go into an institution like the Belknap County Nursing Home. We have about 28 residents right now that we serve. The $400,000 is a small amount of money on the statewide budget, And I can't read what you're saying.
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
All right, just ask you to consider putting that $400,000 into the budget so that we can get it to serve those residents and help keep them in their homes and keep them safe.
Thank you for your input, sir.
Chair.
Okay. I forgot to say something here. I didn't think that other business was going to wind up in public input. But any other business that's mentioned this evening will be put on the next agenda so that the delegation has time to consider the topics. Who's first this time?
You're first. He did the first. You said first.
Oh, thank you.
Defer.
I would. 2 minutes is not enough. 3 minutes is kind of tough. I wish we had 2 or 3 minutes when people went down to the well in Concord. Those people have a point to make. And they go on and on and on and on and on. The public comes here on their time. I think we should give them the right to talk until they start rambling or something. Anyway,
Who decides that?
well, you can kind of tell. It's not really hard. So
Put it on me.
whether it's Pat Wood or somebody else, but I think we need to let them finish what they're.
Are you making a motion, sir?
For God's sakes, yes.
What's the motion?
Make a motion to allow 4 minutes, we'll double it.
Anybody want to second that? You do. Any further discussion on how long the public is going to have?
We've been doing 2 minutes for a very long time.
Doesn't make it right, doesn't make it right, doesn't make it
It's
right.
been the standard policy and procedure.
This is
so-
my 7th year here. It's always been 2 minutes. Just
So I think.
Call a question,
Yep, go ahead.
can't call that,
Well, we don't need to.
Can't do that because we need to vote on that one too.
well, that's what I'm trying to call it, then we can vote on it.
call the question on his 4-minute
Yeah.
motion. Who seconded it?
I do.
Jose was the second. Okay, all in favor of increasing the time limit on the input from the public to 4 minutes, please raise your hand. Two. Opposed?
All right, well, let that be a lesson out there, let that be a lesson.
I can't hear from the public. It's mostly to prevent rambling. Yeah, you can ask him a question, Representative Nagel.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, thank you very much for your presentation. It's really important. Is there any materials that you can share with us or give to the chair and you can forward it to
I
us?
can do that.
That'd be awesome.
Can do that. All right.
I'd like you to email any information for the entire delegation, please.
Go on
Or
the
if you
website.
send it to me, I will get it
That's,
to the
that's the
entire
best way.
delegation.
That's.
Yes.
Thank you.
Representative Aldrich.
This 400,000, is that from us, the state, the feds?
I'm sorry.
The 400,000, is that from the county?
Came from the state, came from the state. You're the representative for Belknap County. Well, right, and so you're in a position to deal with the state budget. That's why I'm talking to you to consider adding that to the state budget.
I'm sorry, I missed all that.
What I can tell you, Attorney Wood, is that I'm on the state budget committee and I'm pretty sure that's done.
They're done with the budget.
They're done.
Budget is
They're done.
finished.
The budget's
It
done.
hasn't been voted on.
Well, I don't pretend to know the specifics of the legislative process, but I do know that there's always an opportunity for a motion for reconsideration. So that's something that could be done. And this is really important to the state of New Hampshire and especially to Laconia and Belknap County. So I would ask you as legislators to consider this. Now, we all hear very often that we have a spending problem in New Hampshire, but we don't have a spending problem. We have a revenue problem. Many of you here voted to eliminate the interest and dividends tax. It brought in $185 million last year. Gone. So we don't have a spending problem, we have a revenue problem. I'm asking you to consider
I respectfully
Yes.
disagree, sir. Ms. Shackett, could you get me that information? That organization and the information from him, if you can get that emailed to me before 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. That's when that's when I'm headed down.
I'll send it to the entire delegation when I get it.
Thank you.
So if I don't have it by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning is it. It's on the finance committee is done. They're presenting we presented half of the budget today, Division 1 and Division 2. I don't know which division that would fall under. Division 3 is tomorrow. I can talk to somebody and see if there's a way that they can fit it in there. It's the best I can do for you.
We'll do everything we can to get something to Ms. Shackett.
Or get it to me personally.
Well, if I get it to Ms. Shackett, then she can get it to everybody and we'll get it.
I think I'm the only one that's on.
Harry's the one that really.
I'm on the finance committee, so I'm. Okay, so if you do that, please, as soon as possible, I'd appreciate it, and I'll do my best to bring it forward.
Appreciate it. I do have one other thing to comment on, another matter.
We gotta find out if anybody else, I gotta go around and give everybody their 2 minutes, and we'll see what happens at that point. So there was somebody else over there, that young lady right there, yes. Would you like to come forward, please?
Can I stand right here? No, can you come
She can be
forward?
really loud.
Really hear you. We wanna hear everything you have to say. I'm Amy Loader, Interim Director of Cooperative Extension. So I'm just speaking to the points that were raised by Representative Comtois about the 4-H fair, the Belknap County Fair.
Thank you.
At which 4-H participates. So after the county budget for cooperative extension was reduced, the state 4-H program leader, Kate Gurdat, emailed the 4-H families here in Belknap stating that the 4-H program would not be able to participate in the fair. She did this because immediately after the vote, cooperative extension believed we would have to lay off the 4-H educator, Mike Harris. So on the Wednesday after the Belknap County, on the Wednesday after the vote, the Belknap County Fair Board met for a regularly scheduled meeting. And the 4-H program leader, Kate, explained that cooperative extension will keep the 4-H educator here in Belknap County. The way we will do that is because we moved part of his salary onto a statewide grant to do work at the state level. But he will stay here working in Belknap County, and therefore we will be able to support 4-H at the Belknap Fair. It will take more work from the volunteer community, however, because of the nature of the administration and the risk management and all of the work that goes into building a fair with animals. So in closing, we felt that the most important thing for us to do cooperative extension for the 4-H community is to do the year-round programming, supporting 4-H clubs and holding 4-H programs and activities in the county. That will not go away. We initially thought that the fair could be, our participation in the fair could be cut or reduced because there are other qualifying fairs for animal activities.
Thank you.
And I can take any questions.
Representative Aldridge.
Did you say you weren't taking questions?
No, she'll be quick.
Did say.
Yep.
Yes.
I know, it's more of a presentation than a public input, I think. What do you think, Representative Terry? Public input, and that is supposed to be a presentation.
Well, we let it go before.
That was a statement. We appreciate it. We move on.
Representative
I have a
Nagel.
very quick question for you.
Representative Nagel. Representative Nagel?
Am I allowed to?
No.
Oh, I'm not. Oh, not anymore.
Robert's rules. That works. Oh, okay.
No, I mean.
Oh, yeah, there's. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak for 2 minutes? I see a hand, I don't see a body.
I see a few hands.
This evening, you'll take a vote
on whether the county joins the coalition. And I encourage you to do that. I served on the committee for the town of Guilford. And after examining and interviewing various suppliers of electricity, we narrowed it to two. And I took those two and spoke with over 12 towns at length about why they chose one over the other. And the majority of the groups, towns chose the coalition because of the way they operated and the benefit for their community. So tonight, I hope that you'll move forward. We're very satisfied with what's happened in Guilford. And hopefully it will give the options to smaller communities, people to opt in. In Guilford, it was a case of opting out, okay? But it'll be a real benefit to the county. It'll be a real benefit for our small businesses, for economic development, which I have served this county 15 years doing. Thank you.
I didn't get the name.
For the chair.
The guy in the back there,
Thank you.
Representative Aldrich, just a minute, please.
It's just a real quick thing. The first two people, I didn't know where they were from or what they were doing.
Yeah, there's,
So could they state who they are and what the
that should
topic
have been for the
is?
record. That's my mistake, sorry. Where they're
What?
from.
What was gonna come up?
I'm Earl Layton. I'm from Salmonton. I am president of the Belknap County Fair Association. I am here, if you have any questions, I can clarify, because I'm also a member on the foundation. If you have any questions on the functions of the fair or condition or.
Representative Contois, do you
Um,
can you get clarification on?
so may I?
Yes. Listen,
So the county, I wanted to know about more about the 4-H Foundation. If you can clarify what that
Yeah.
is, thank you.
The 4-H Foundation, in my understanding, the purpose of it is to provide scholarships to 4-H members when they're going on field trips or traveling. That's generally what we've done, or any, well, I think they created last year. Karen created a class for the young people for in helping in babysitting and how to first aid, and we funded that. The foundation received a large sum of money from Bert Southwick in his will. It was to benefit the 4-H and the fair, and so they use the interest from the principal to fund their budget. Generally, they buy the ribbons and trophies for the fair. They also pay the premiums for the young people from Belknap County that show their animals. The Belknap County's gate, we receive about $8,000 at the gate. That we pay in premiums, generally $8,500. And so gate runs at a loss. We do some other events at the fairgrounds to generate money for the fair. And the phone call, my initial phone call I received was correct in that I was told that the fair wouldn't be able to run. And I said, wait a minute. It's not your fair. And they said, we won't be able to help. I said, well, that's okay. We'll adjust. And then they said, well, the kids won't be able to qualify. And I said, that's a problem. Because a lot of the kids choose fairs to go to so they can qualify, so they can end up at Eastern States. And it benefits them if their animals qualify and they end up at Eastern States and they get awards, the animal becomes more valuable.
so what I want to say is that the reason that I let you speak and Representative Contois asked you a question was because we had conflicting stories, and it seems to me that you may have clarified everything, in my mind at least.
Doing my best.
Representative Dumas.
Who makes the decision whether
Hey,
or not they?
Representative, we can't ask any more questions. The only reason I let him speak is to clarify, we have two sides here.
Okay.
He kind of had the deciding vote. We got one more person in the back over here, and then, Doug Lambert was next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm just a comment on this 4-H thing. I think if a letter went out telling people the fair is canceled or they can't do 4-H, I think somebody needs to get a letter out saying that, no, that was incorrect, in the fair and everything goes on, because, I mean, that's very sad to hear this, kind of play out. So I appreciate Representative Comtois for bringing this up. It sounds very important. Thank you.
You too. Thank you. Yes, sir. If you want to come up here or. Yeah, we need to know where you're from.
My name is Michael Harris. I'm 4-H program manager here in Belknap County.
You're what?
4-H program manager.
It seems like there's like a conflicting record of exactly the email that was sent out by my supervisor, Kate Cardot, in the initial fallout of the delegation's decision. So I have the email here. I will speak to the 2 points that I've heard be discussed. And we can also forward you this email that she sent out if you would like.
Would you forward that?
I can forward it to, of course. So it did not say that we, 4-H, were canceling the fair. It said that we were not participating in it. So I just want to clarify that we never presumed to take ownership of the event. That was a phenomenal partnership between 4-H, volunteers, and the fair. It's a wonderful, wonderful cooperation and effort. And also in this email from my boss, it says that we will be working to identify another fair for the youth to qualify for the Eastern States Expo. Again, I'm happy to forward this.
No questions, please.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
My name is Kathy Danute, and I am on the Fair Board and on the Foundation Board. I would just like to say that even though there was an email sent out, I received the very first phone call. Earl received the second phone call. It was said there would be no fair until we said we can have a fair. You need to clarify what that means because we don't need your permission to have a fair. We were then told that she was correcting herself and that there would be no 4-H participation. We made it perfectly clear that if the kids wanted to come as open, that we would still pay their premiums, still give them ribbons, but it wasn't fair that they wouldn't qualify for the Big E. Also, we were told that at the meeting on Wednesday that the qualifier would happen, but it wasn't said this evening. So I'd like clarification on that. And, sorry, I can't read your name from here.
Julianne Marvigolia?
When you said the details were worked out, they have not been presented to the fair or the foundation. We got, they're coming back to us, but as far as I know, it has not been worked out, at least not with us.
So we have not received formal clarification.
The fair is gonna happen, but they said things.
So it looks to me, without getting into more heavy duty questions here, that you and he need to connect and find out what's happening here. Am I?
I was told I can't go directly to him.
Oh. Okay.
I believe it was his email that said it.
Respond, please. You're gonna speak now.
Thank you. And I think this
us, please.
Part of the decision that the way it's impacted 4-H is that my time allocation has gone from 40 hours to 30. In light of this, following the directive of my supervisors, I've been asked to refine systems of communication. And part of that has been to work directly through Fair Board and Foundation presidents when it comes to fulfilling requests. We're trying to create a process where we include the scale and scope of the program, which includes the fair. And so I can provide a high quality year-round program, part of which is the Deerfield Fair. It's an important part of the program. We have meetings set on the calendar, which we will be addressing these items. And I've made myself available through these different entities to contact me. And I provided a process to. It's important to me that the youth not only are provided the same opportunities, but opportunities for youth in general here in Belknap County College. And that is something that I committed to the capacity that I'm given in a year-round program, which includes the.
So now it seems that I've been tasked with finding somebody to mediate between you two. Is that?
We have a meeting scheduled on April 10th, at which we will be able to work through the tasks.
Well, April 10th is our next meeting.
Yes.
That they're coming to.
No, we don't want to ask any questions. Just want to get them. Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that we put this on the agenda for the next meeting of the delegation as a follow-up to make sure that whatever concerns or issues that have come up between the factions are addressed appropriately.
Is that a motion?
Yes, sir, it is.
Second. Us, Glenn. Okay. Representative Dumas.
It sounds to me like there's a conflict between the groups here. And, you know, and I'm concerned about the end result. The kids are gonna be without the 4-H if there isn't some consensus or some give on the part of each of these groups. And it pisses me off. Excuse my French. Get the thing done. Sit down in a room, bring the issues before you, and solve the problem.
Okay. Representative Coker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What would be the advantage of us bringing this back up? I mean, what is the county? We've made a decision on the budget. There's no corrective action we can do at this point that I'm aware of. So why are we getting involved in what the outside organizations should be working out?
With each other. It's got nothing to do with us. Representative Freeman.
Thank you, Representative. I think because it's been brought up in this forum and brought before us that we do have some due diligence to follow through with this. The public is watching, they're concerned, and I think that in a forum such as this, they would be able to get the answer instead of all this he said, she said through the grapevine that has been going on for the past 2 weeks. So that is the only reason why I said that we should put it on our next agenda, so we can get clarification on this and know how the parties have responded to it. I don't want to be the intermediary between these two agencies. I want them to work it out. When they do come to a conclusion and do come to a solution, which I'm sure they can, I think that it would be more than appropriate for them to come back in front of us and let us know what is occurring.
Representative Terry.
I think that Representative Freeman has just clarified my concern, because I was going to say we have no formal oversight with respect to cooperative extension or 4-H. However, we have been in the forum this evening where there have been some rather interesting and confusing and troubling comments that have been made by the different parties. And so if I understand Representative Freeman's motion, I believe what she has clarified in her comment is that she would like for us to receive a report of what hopefully will be a resolution to the concerns that are being expressed this evening, and that we will hear that report from one or more persons who will be contacted or in communication with the chair so that those parties can be placed on the agenda and we all can be informed as to how this all transpires and what the resolution is. So I'm not going to raise an objection now that I understand. It will be more of a report than us playing some sort of role as mediator, which is not our role. Thank you.
Whereas we're in the voting mode, I don't think that I can call on you, Commissioner Spanos. We're in the voting mode. We have a first and a second, and we're in discussion. I don't know parliamentary,
I was still Republican.
but Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I guess, you know, for me, this has been a really confusing couple of weeks with regards to the whole thing with the fair and 4-H, because I don't understand who gets to decide qualifiers and things like that. I think it's really important, and maybe it's not at the county, but maybe at a state level, that we really have an understanding on how our youngsters are involved in 4-H and how they get to go to these bigger shows.
It seems to me that the gentleman on the right back there said that they were going to be looking for a different venue for the 4-H. Am I hearing things wrong? Yes, yes.
That was an initial response to the decision that was made here on the 12th. There have been pieces that have been moving around, and I think my director, Amy, can speak to those moving pieces better than I can. However, it looks like initially it was looking like my time was going to be 50%, whereas now 75%. So that's just an example of a piece that's been moved, that's added to the extra capacity that we can now provide support to the fair itself. Now, I just want to say that, again, I'm committed to working with the fair board, the foundation, and other volunteers that said that they were volunteering at the fair. We are going to provide a phenomenal fair for the youth in this county, one way or another. So if there's any concern that I would ease today to everybody, is that the Belknap County Fair will happen with 4-H's participation, and the event itself, from the youth perspective, I am personally committed to making sure the youth don't know the difference.
So at least for this year,
Oh, absolutely.
it's going to be a qualifier for the Big E.
Yes,
Okay.
the youth will be able to qualify for the Big E at the fair this year.
There was somebody else that wanted. Representative Terry.
Mr. Chair, on the motion before us, where we are requesting a report to be made at the next meeting, I believe that we have received a wealth of information. We can continue to hear conversations and we can continue to ask questions. So if I have to call the question, I will call the question if there's a second.
I'll second it.
No, we're not gonna vote on that.
Do I have to?
Okay. No.
Is there any further discussion on calling the question? That means,
I don't need to call the question if we're gonna be ready to vote.
is everybody ready to vote on this issue?
Yes.
Calling the question on
Don't need to.
the motion that Representative Freeman made. We're all ready to vote on that? Yep.
Okay, I
I'll-
have.
I don't know that you need a roll call.
Well, I think the motion is to put 4-H business on the next meeting's agenda. If that is not, please tell me.
No, that's it.
Okay,
4-H is me.
so,
Okay, so that's the motion.
so voting.
We're in the voting mode. I'm sorry.
All those in favor?
All opposed? Oh, wow. 5? How many of us here? So you don't want to? Okay, so with the motion pass,
Yes.
motion passed, we're gonna hear some kind of a report from.
Well, not a report, we're putting business on the agenda.
Talk about. Mr. Chair. Okay, stop, please.
Mr. Chair,
Representative Terry.
I just heard that we're gonna receive a report, but that's not the motion that was made and voted on. And I voted against the motion, not because I don't want to hear a report, but because the motion, as it was read, was very ambiguous because it said, we're gonna put 4-H business on the agenda next month. And that was not clear to me, because it did not state the intention. It should have indicated to expect.
Mr. Chair, I'm gonna withdraw my motion. If these questions were, if these were pivotal questions,
Oh, okay.
Representative.
Okay,
Yeah, who's doing the report? I don't understand where you didn't say, nobody said so-and-so is gonna give a report. That's not.
No, I made a comment.
Representative Terry.
Representative Coker expressed a concern relative to Representative Freeman's motion. Representative Freeman then was called upon and she explained what she hoped was going to happen as a result of her motion to put 4-H business on the agenda next meeting. It was for that reason that I did not make any further comment because I understood what her intent was. Nevertheless, the motion continued to be ambiguous because it just said 4-H business and did not provide any degree of detail or specificity as to how or what or when it was going to be done, other than at the meeting. So.
What do you want to do to
That's
untie
fine.
this?
That's fine.
I think we'll leave it.
I'm just the person who loves clarity.
Perhaps
We should ask the questions first.
I think that's your intent, Mr. Chairman, and I think that's exactly what we'll hear is a report, but that was not what the motion was. And so I'm pleased that we will probably hear a report and that it'll be your responsibility to make sure that happens.
Okay, so we're all done with this issue.
We're still doing mediating here.
We're all done with this issue. We are, it's already been voted on. We're not mediating. Did anybody else have any public input?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
No. No, I'm clowning you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
These divisions and fissures that you're seeing over the 4-H club.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're a direct result of the cuts to the extension and the conservation district. Board of Commissioners have heard from multiple constituents. We've heard directly from the two agencies in question. And we are strongly recommending a reconsideration of those cuts in the amount of $124,260. And as the county administrators pointed out to the board, there is precedent for an amendment to the budget up until March 31st, which is today, to have that budget adjusted.
Would you like me to respond to you? Please. My response to that would be that if we reconsider one issue, we have to reconsider any department head that's here that got a cut. They should want a reconsideration too, because that's how it would work. I personally don't think a reconsideration is in order because it's going to open up a can of worms that if you think this was bad, it's going to get worse. That's my take on it. Does somebody want to make a motion to his effect?
Can you clarify what you just said? If it's going, I'm sorry, am I allowed to raise my hand first? Just clarify what you said. If it's bad now, it's going to get worse. What do you mean by that?
If every single department head that got something cut, anything cut, if we do this reconsideration, all of those department heads can come and say, I want you to reconsider my cut too. Is that what you really want to do?
Thank you. I thought.
I thought they were asking the 31st.
Pardon me?
I thought they couldn't do that after today, after the 31st.
Are there any of them here?
Doesn't matter, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it wouldn't be really fair because we didn't put that in the thing.
On the agenda.
On the agenda, it wasn't on the agenda.
That's what that was, I was gonna say.
Do you want to say something, Representative Terry?
Yes, of course, those who were adversely affected by the action of this body at the last meeting are not going to be happy. They're going to express their unhappiness because clearly they wanted what they wanted. And when people don't get what they want, they're not going to be particularly happy. There will be repercussions. There will have to be adjustments that are made to live within the means that are provided by the delegation. I would have expected nothing less from folks who were unhappy that they didn't get exactly what they were hoping for, particularly with respect to the commissioner's budget and the proposed amounts that were contained in the commissioner's budget. So yes, this is all rather to have been expected. And I think what we do is we go on from here. And what we do is we hope that the economy is going to boom and we're going to have a lot more money and we can do a lot more things in the future, regardless, and can restore some of the cuts that were made this year, perhaps. And that is irrespective of the question of to what extent should the county actually be involved in funding outside organizations over which we have no direct oversight. That's a separate question. It was one that I raised last time at the last meeting, and that'll continue to be a philosophical and political question with which this body is going to have to grapple, just as you, Mr. Chairman, as a member of the Finance Committee, are doing with respect to the state budget as well. And the federal people are doing this now too. As for those of you who are paying attention to what's going on. Thank you.
Commissioner Waring.
Thank you. So the discussion is fantastic, and I just want to kind of reiterate what Commissioner Spano said and just kind of clarify in that the recommendation and the ask from the commissioners is not to reopen the entire budget. We are completely accepting of the budget that has been issued. It is for the sole purpose of primarily the two outside agencies that have statutes to back them up as to why they're in existence and why the county funds them. And that's the Conservation District and the UNH Cooperative Extension. $124,000 that was cut, right? So that equates to roughly $2 to, on the high side, maybe it's $5 to the average taxpayer, every taxpayer across the county for their annual bill. $5, $124,000 is what was been cut. The cut, what that cut realizes and actually affects is there's a multiplier of probably, and we're going to get the factual numbers, but we know for a fact that it's at least twice, and I'm going to say it's as high as 4 times that number of the revenue that actually goes back into Belknap County to small business, to regional economic development, to farmers, to all of our constituents. That money goes back into their pockets that because of these cuts is not going to happen. So the ask is really just to reconsider those two agencies to reinstate $124,000 to the budget so that the county can continue to have the fantastic county fair as it's always had, continue to have strong natural resources in rivers in our lakes. And so that's the ask, just for clarification.
Well, I was here for part of your meeting, and what I heard from the UNH extension and the one before that.
District.
Conservation District, correct?
Yeah. What I heard from both of them that with these cuts, not at the same time, one and then the other, they clarified what I've been saying right along is that there's probably a lot of overlap. Because first she said she was going to do tests on the lakes and streams and make sure the water was clean. And then they said they were going to do the same thing. They were going to do tests on the water. That's what I heard.
That's not what their testimony was.
Okay, could you,
If you would like to
refresh my memory?
continue, we can continue, but I wasn't sure if we were taking.
Go ahead.
So,
Joint meeting.
Yeah, this turned into a joint meeting. I think that,
no, I mean, I can, if this can be a joint meeting, or I can be a member of the public, either way, I think I'm still entitled to speak.
well, we can let you speak if you want to speak as a member of the public for 2 minutes. I guess you've probably already done that.
I've said my 2 minutes.
Representative Nagel.
I would like to make a motion that we do as you suggested, to restore the funding to those two organizations at the amount requested in
That's on the agenda.
It's not on the agenda.
Great, fine.
It's not on the agenda. Should have put it on. Representative,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just out of curiosity, would you be willing to cut the same amount that we cut from those agencies from the operating budget, the county operating budget to, would you be willing to find those funds in the operating budget and cut
to restore.
to restore the funds that you want to restore?
We don't know how, Representative, we don't know how the budget's going to play out. We may end up with sufficient surplus as we get halfway through the fiscal year where we can find that $125,000. But the purpose of our, Mr. Chairman, thank you for letting the commissioners weigh in. I know it's been a busy night, is to try and make these two agencies whole to get them through the year and then reevaluate, reassess. As Representative Terry has said, maybe we'll be in a stronger fiscal position next year. Maybe the state will be in a stronger fiscal position next year. And we understand these are difficult issues, and we know what's going on in Concord. As Representative Terry said, we're all well aware of what's going on in Washington, D.C. This is a microcosm of that. But with respect to Commissioners Waring's remarks about the financial matrix of how funds get restored back to the county, it would appear, and we're waiting for an evaluation of that, but it would appear that the money saved by the cuts, the $125,000 the delegation made to finalize the budget, could be significantly outweighed by a 2 or even a 3-to-1 ratio in funds not flowing back to Belknap County. And that is really the essence of.
Where is that information coming from?
Pardon me?
Where is that information coming from?
From the agencies.
From the agencies. And that has really been the foundational work of the extension for decades. That equation hasn't changed.
Well, I don't know how much I'm gonna get for involving everybody like this. It's supposed to be just the delegation here, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're getting way off.
We're way off the agenda, we're way off everything. Representative Nagel.
I have a pragmatic question. So it sounds like the request can't be honored because it's not on the agenda.
Right.
Correct? So there's no way we can even address the question that's being asked, is it on the agenda?
That is correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
So
That's procedure, that's not me, that's how it works.
It could be changed.
Yeah.
What?
I believe it could be changed if the body decided to make a motion to change it.
I think it'd take a 2/3, is it 2/3? 2/3. Okay, it takes 2/3. I guess it could be changed if 2/3 of the people here want to change the agenda when we're halfway through it.
Or eliminate.
Excuse me? Excuse me? Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that, we had closed public input, we were in voting mode. We've kind of like reopened public input, but I think we need to get on to the next item on the agenda.
I agree.
We need a motion to that effect?
No.
We're just going to go on to the agenda.
You're in the driver's
Okay, the vote on the community power is next on the agenda. Does anybody have anything they want to say about I know that there's several of them at this point. Guilford hired one and Laconia hired the other one. So And Representative Bogan told me that, and he's a city councilor and he's not here tonight. Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. You know, we didn't get a lot of information last week, and the information that we had received were sporadic pages of something they were presenting to us. The thing is that communities can already opt in to do this. And it shouldn't be us to take away that away from the local communities on who they want to choose. And not only that, is that right now businesses and individuals can already choose another supplier. You can go onto the state's website, they will give you a list. And one of the things they talked about, and we heard it could be opt-in, but on one of the things they were talking about, it was an opt-out. And the town of Guilford, who has this community power, it's an opt-out. And I don't like anything where I have to opt out of. And they weren't, to me, it wasn't really forthcoming with the all the information. And like I said, it was the sporadic pages that we received, not the entire, not everything regarding this. And still to this date, have not received that.
Representative Terry.
With the updated information that we received in a document dated February 5th, we learned that even the plan offered by Community Power Coalition, which has the lowest amount of renewable content at 25.2%, is more expensive per kilowatt hour than the current rates being charged by the three major public investor utilities and the co-op. 8.1, 8.3, 8.4, 8.9, compared to 9.7, ranging all the way up to 13.1% for 100% green renewable power. It is clear that Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire is slanted in terms of favoring or advocating or wanting to pursue green power options. That's fine. That's what they believe, and that's where their hearts are, and that's what they want to do. But Mr. Chairman, if I am driving down the road and I see two gas stations side by each, as we used to say in Woonsocket, and one is $2.79 a gallon and the other one is $2.89 a gallon, I'm pulling into the gas station that's $2.79.9 and not $2.89.9. It's gas. This is power. They offer different mixes of power ranging from 25% to 100% green. But even at the lowest percentage of green, 25.2%, the current rate is higher. Now, if the Community Power Coalition did this delegation in 6 months or a year and tell us that they are beating hand over fist Eversource, Liberty, Unitil, New Hampshire Electric Co-op, or all the other providers that we can choose from on the consumer choice page of the state's energy website, then I might really seriously be interested in listening. But right now, this does not seem economically feasible. It's maybe the right thing, but it's not the right time. The price isn't there. And I think competition is what carries the day for me.
Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And although I agree mostly with my esteemed colleague just said, I do believe that we should allow the communities and not the county to decide.
That's not what we're dealing with tonight.
I understand.
Right. Well, then you are agreeing.
She's mostly.
Mostly doesn't cut it. Anybody else got a question? Well, do you remember this sheet? Can you see it from there? It's got all these lines.
Yeah.
That's it. when you get over to, January of 25, some things seems to have changed. You tell me. The two black ones are you folks, right?
No, red line.
Red line.
I didn't see your red.
I'm not sure it's exactly the same image, but the one that we're referring to, the granite basic that the representative was referring to, which is the equivalent to those offered by the other utilities, is the red line in this picture, which currently, as you were saying, is slightly higher than those of the utilities and slightly lower than two out of three broker options. That is the other way of adopting community power.
Yes. The question, what has changed?
What I know has changed is that graph from this graph that I got 2 weeks ago.
It may just be a formatting issue, but the inputs should be the same. There were some comments about it was difficult to read because of the colors on it, and we attempted to address that.
Well, looking at this one here, the double black line, the double dots, was lower than all the others up until about February of 24. Then some of them were below. And then when you get over to January of 25, all four of the other companies were lower than you.
I believe the double black you're referring to is our broker firms that provide community power service that are not CPCNH, not Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire, so not, I believe. I can't see the image you're looking at.
It's right there, it tells you.
So that would be, in this image, I believe it's the fixed flat dotted purple and blue. Those are two broker firms providing community power service relative to the other dashed lines being the utilities, relative to the fixed red line, the solid red line being the Community Power Coalition.
Representative Terry.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we, as a delegation, that we defer participation in the Community Power Coalition of New Hampshire at this time. And if there's a second, I'll speak to it.
I'll second it.
Mr. Chair, my intention here is that if the commissioners come back to the delegation at some point in the future, and they provide us with a case for the CPC of New Hampshire being a really good deal for us, I'm willing to take a look at it at that time. But as I stated in my earlier comments, economically, it's not in an advantageous position during this time period. So I would urge my colleagues to vote yes on the motion to defer participation at this time.
Well, in light of Laconia and Guilford being on opposite sides of the same issue, there's obviously some concern other than just mine. Any other? Okay, everybody in favor of deferring
Participation at this time.
to a later date?
Two, right? Either of you. Opposed?
Which side are you on? I know. You're a no? So there's two no's. So motion passed.
Right.
The last thing on the agenda here is the ability for transfers. Yeah. I'm gonna make a motion and we'll get a second and then we will discuss. Normally I don't make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that to transfer over $7,500 from one department to another has to come in front of the executive committee. And transfers that are in one department from line to line. As far as I'm concerned, leave that to you. So there'll be no oversight line to line, just 7,500 department. Do I have a second?
Must come before the budget committee.
Is it the budget committee or
No,
the
it's the
executive?
executive.
That's what it said.
Committee.
Mr. Chairman, I have an amendment.
No, go ahead.
I have an amendment to the motion. It's in addition to the motion that any such transfers that are made by the commissioners will be reported to the delegation for our information. Once they're done.
That would be the executive committee representative?
Yeah, yes, the executive.
Thank
that's
you.
Right, for informational purposes, yes. If there's a.
Somebody want to second that
amendment?
amendment?
That's a friendly amendment.
Well, it depends. Is there a second? Was there a second to my amendment?
Glenn's
Well,
seconding
I
it.
spoke to it.
Representative Aldrich.
If, Mr. Chairman, if that is considered a friendly amendment by the mover and seconder, it can become just be part of the motion. It doesn't have to be an amendment. Do you?
I'm good with that.
Does the seconder agree?
Yeah.
Then it's part of the main motion.
So, Representative Comtois.
Yes. I would like to clarify this motion a little bit, if I may. I would like to say motion to move transfer authority be limited to $7,500 between departments. Any transfers summing more than $7,500 between departments shall require authorization of the executive committee. Department means all lines with unique identifiers 014110 through 025194.
Yeah.
If
Representative
that
Terry.
motion, if that actually sounds like a substitute motion to me, and if it's seconded, it would be a substitute motion. I mean, that's not clarification, that's significantly more detailed. You willing to tack on the report back to the executive committee?
Yes, and that any transfers made will be given to the executive committee on a quarterly basis.
Via email,
That's a substitute motion, and it's seconded.
then seconded. I'm all right with that.
That all written down?
I do.
That's good.
Then
Gonna
you
need
want
it.
me to do.
I will.
Yes. So wait a minute, so it's really Representative Comtois making the motion?
Yes,
She's making the motion.
it's a substitute motion. If it prevails, the other one goes away.
Who seconded it?
I did. If that motion passes, then the other one goes away. Otherwise, we revert back to the prior motion that was amended. It
Okay,
became a new
is
motion.
there any further discussion?
No.
Representative,
I wanted to find what department means without numbers, so. By department, what are we referring? to?
Sheriff's Department, nursing homes.
That's what I-
No.
So within, if I may follow,
We're waiting
So,
for her answer.
I put in unique identifiers, meaning 014110 through 025194. That is the county budget.
That's line item. What you're referring to?
So those are your unique identifiers, right? So that starts with your line, you have your departments, but there are those line items. The nursing home has different qualifiers because the nursing home is kind of separate from the county. So the transfers between the nursing home are different than between this. And if they want to transfer into the nursing home, they have to come to you. They can't just transfer any money into the nursing home. That's why the unique qualifier.
Any or 7,500?
Huh?
They can't transfer any or 7,500?
Up to 7,500.
No. Between departments, any transfers, department means all lines with unique identifiers, so.
Up to 75.
7,500.
Over 7,500.
Yeah, 7,500 is
7,500.
the thing.
The 7,500, I don't want anything to do with it.
Mr. Chair, if I may, thank you.
Commissioner,
Would you, can Representative Terry please restate the motion and restate his amendment, please? For my own edification.
I believe I seconded
you do it
the
slowly?
motion from Representative Comtois, and it constitutes, in its detail, it constitutes a substitute motion, and that's motion, it has been seconded, and it's what's on the floor right now, and that's what we're all talking about.
Okay, may I qualify? Okay, so may I?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
So, Commissioner Spanos, basically what I put in there is Commissioners will report any and all transfers to the executive committee on a quarterly basis.
Any transfer.
no.
So
Any transfer.
Is that what you wanted?
That's
I
just,
thought the trigger was 7,500.
yes,
But they have to get approval.
approval over 7,500 and notify us under 7,500.
Right, that's what you wanted, right?
Quarterly.
So does the essence of Representative Terry's amendment remain in force?
You mean the amendment to the previous
Yes.
motion? No, because there's a substitute motion, which then effectively, if it's approved, it replaces the motion and the amendment go away. The previous motion and the previous amendment, where I asked for reports, Representative Conqua has now incorporated that into her substitute motion, which involves considerable more detail with respect to line items. Is that answer?
That's what it sounds like.
This is a much more comprehensive and detailed motion that does include reporting. And it's a substitute motion upon which we would be voting unless we do something else. Which tonight I would not put out of the range of possibilities.
Right, so.
Yeah.
Man, again, just clarification, I have one question as well. So to clarify, so if $1 moves from one line to another line within a department, this motion says that's reported to the executive committee.
Quarterly.
Quarterly. And then if $7,500 is moved from department to department.
You need approval.
Approval. And so your clarification of the unique identifier comes after the 7,500. So for 7,500 within departments, that's approval. Period. Subsequent requirement in any dollar moved within a department requires us to report that quarterly.
Or do you want to put any transfers between lines of more than $500?
May I ask my question so that goes along with this?
Well,
I'd just like to understand.
Hey, guys, please.
I'd like to understand the why. I understand the 7,500. But you want to know if the transfers between departments, but well, they have a small Y on that one, but a much larger Y of if within a department head says, hey, I need more money in my supplies line, and I'm not going to use transportation line. That's the authority of the commissioners to manage that budget. I'm just curious as to why the delegation feels that authority needs to be reported and taken and almost stripped of what the commissioner's authority is. So I'm just curious as to what the why is.
I think it's the transparency, but Representative Comtois.
thank you, Mr. Chair. And I understand what Commissioner Waring is saying. So maybe we need to clarify that it's any transfers made between department, not interdepartment.
Correct.
Okay?
Correct. That's the piece that I think.
I think that's what got lost.
Inter, not intra.
Right. Okay? So we'll clarify. I'll send it to.
Otherwise, you're gonna be all tied up.
Right.
No.
No, we don't want that.
We don't want the job.
No.
Thank you.
So any intra-transfer department, any intra-transfers.
Representative Nate.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm just curious, how often do interdepartmental transfers actually?
Rarely. This past year, they weren't in.
No. There might be one or two this year. Hard to say.
I know that in the past, I've seen within one department change $1,000. They wanted to be involved, not informed, involved. So that's just saying that. Representative Terry.
I'm pleased that Representative Nagel has put that question to the commissioners because it was my conjecture before I came tonight and was thinking about this. And also, as I've been listening to the discussion, that this was not something that happens every other day. It happens infrequently because I'm not interested in placing onerous Mickey Mouse burdens on members of the commissioners. So the fact that this is happening, and it's also quarterly. So this is not going to be something that's going to be occurring on a frequent basis. But what it does is it just makes us a little better informed as to how the budget is being managed. And that could potentially be helpful to us when we look at the next budget. The budget committee looks at the next budget. So the more information that we have, the better off we are within reason. And it sounds like to me that this is reasonable because it's not gonna happen a whole lot. Thank you.
Everybody all set? Everybody else?
We need clarification on the final motion.
Can you restate your motion, your initial motion?
That's history. This is the motion that's on the
The
floor
motion
now.
on the floor is?
Substitute motion.
My motion and his second are gone unless this
Unless
fails.
this fails.
Do they want me to read it, Mr. Chair?
You want to read it again?
Okay.
Clarified motion.
Motion to move transfer authority be limited to $7,500 between departments. Any transfers summing more than $7,500 between departments shall require authorization of the executive committee. Department means all lines with unique identifiers 014110 through 025194. Commissioners will report any inter-transfers between departments to the executive committee on a quarterly basis. Does that make sense?
Inter or intra?
Huh?
Inter.
Inter.
Not intra.
Okay.
There?
Take it out the intro. Okay.
Okay.
Anybody else got any input?
I just want to make sure those numbers make sense to you guys, because they don't mean anything to me. The numbers that you were talking about, the identifiers.
$7,500 between.
Representative Comtois.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Normally, we've limited it to 5,000 and even
Well, I
lower.
don't mean that. I.
No, the unique identifiers,
Yes.
because I wanted to separate the county government from the nursing home.
Ms. Shackett.
I just have to clarify that the county government is not separate from the nursing home.
Well,
It's
I-
not
I-
a separate budget. It is a department of the county as reported to the state.
I understand.
And that has always been the sticking point. The nursing home is one department with multiple divisions within it.
Right. That's true. I agree.
Just to
Representative
clarify, I
Nagel.
want to make sure I get, so you're including every department but the nursing home. Is that correct?
Is that what you had, Representative Comtois?
Technically, yes.
Even though it's actually part of the county, you segregated that.
Right, because the nursing home comprises of very many departments. And it's kind of.
That makes
if you-
sense.
If you look at, Mr. Chair, if you don't mind, so if you look at like there's the sheriff department and then there's administration, well, then you get to nursing home, you have nursing home administration, nursing home finance, things like that. So it's kind of like, it has a lot of departments within itself.
So I didn't understand myself that was
Okay,
being segregated. It's one of the departments.
So just in simple layman terms, this would allow them to be able to transfer within the different parts of the nursing home
right, because.
without the $7,500 report.
Right.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
I think it was a good thing. Anybody else got any input? Representative Nagel.
Have you ever transferred money from corrections, sheriff, restorative justice to the nursing?
Ms. Shackett.
No, the answer to that is no, at least not in the past 17 years. There was one transfer made last year from the nursing home to the sheriff's department for $100,000. And it is reported, as soon as the commissioners approved it, it's reported, it's on our budget report, which is posted to the website every month for your perusal.
Thank you.
We will continue doing.
Anybody else?
Call the question.
Representative
If we have
Boards.
to. Yeah, we have to.
Do we have to what? We have to call the question?
We'll be done here.
Representative Nagel. Representative Nagel.
How many more?
So
So we got somebody here gonna call the question. If the discussion is gonna carry on until 10 o'clock, wee hours of the morning. And so is the discussion just about done, or is he gonna call the question?
Another question, just ask.
all right, I have another question. If we were motion allow that $100,000.
He was recognized first.
Oh, sorry.
It's a quick question.
I thought you were up.
Okay, he's willing to withdraw his. Go ahead.
Oh, so would this motion allow that $100,000 transfer to occur, and what would the mechanism of that be?
It would require executive committee approval.
It's over 7,500.
Thank you.
Are we gonna vote on the Motion?
Yes.
Or we can have a new motion?
Please,
No.
please, do it.
Okay, all in favor of Representative Comtois' motion, please raise your hand. Wow, a lot of discussion and everybody's unanimous. That's kind of cool.
I mostly agree.
Mostly.
And she's not laughing.
The rest of us are laughing.
It's okay.
Can you email that to me?
I'm doing that. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Representative Terry was trying to make jokes.
Guess we're adjourned.
You go. Thank you.
Before everyone goes.